In one of the remote corners of a camp, where daily life is nothing but a continuous challenge, there was a teacher known as Miss Noor. Noor was no ordinary teacher. She was the flame that lit up the world of children surrounded by the noise of loss, fear, and longing. Amid the tents that hold countless stories of displacement and pain, Noor decided to be part of the solution. While dealing with minimal resources, books with torn covers, wooden boards instead of chairs, and ink that had run out from the pens, Noor was determined that education should go deeper than mere words laid on pages. She decided to make her lessons a tool for rebuilding the children's personalities and reminding them of their inner strength, as if saying, "You, despite everything, are capable." Every morning, Noor opens one of the tents that has been transformed into a classroom, while the children sit closely together on simple pieces of fabric, looking at her with eyes that hold a mixture of curiosity and exhaustion. The lessons would begin with a simple song she sang in her voice, something that at first seemed like a small luxury, but soon the song would transform into a window of hope for children who could barely remember what it meant to enjoy something. Noor wasn't just teaching them how to read and write. Every day, she designed an activity that touched something deep within them. One day, she brought a wooden board and drew an empty tree on it. She told them, "Each one of you is a leaf on this tree. How do you want your leaf to look? What qualities give life to this tree?" The children began to talk about their dreams. Doctors, artists, engineers, and some even said they wanted to become teachers like her. With every word, Noor would write and attach the leaves to the tree, which slowly transformed into a canvas full of life. But there were real challenges that couldn't be ignored. Some of the children were dealing with deep psychological trauma, memories of losing a parent, or a stormy night during the journey to this place. Noor didn't ignore this. She dedicated individual time to each child, asking them how they felt, and designing activities to help them express themselves. In one of the sessions, she brought empty boxes and told the children to write down their sorrows in words and send them to the dream box. She then sealed the boxes, as if folding away the pain and opening a new chapter. The challenges weren't limited to the children. One day, the electricity that powered the classroom's humble lights went out, and Noor had to use candles to provide lighting. And on another day, the children remained in class while the camp's food supplies temporarily ran out. Even in those moments, Noor proved that education isn't confined to tools, but driven by the spirit of determination. One of the most inspiring moments was with a girl named Kamer, a 7-year-old who was always quiet and hidden away in the corner. One morning, Noor began a lesson on artistic expression and handed out paper and colors to the children. Kamer drew a stunning picture of a sky full of stars with a lone tree in the center. When Noor asked her about the story behind the drawing, she quietly replied, "I am that tree. I belong to a sky full of opportunities, but they're far away from me." Education here was more than just lessons in grammar or math. It was an exercise in reclaiming identity. Under Noor's guidance, Kamer began writing stories, telling of a little girl who overcomes imaginary hardships to reach her stars. Noor wasn't just a teacher. She was an advocate for the children, fighting on two fronts, inside the classroom and beyond. She spent her free time trying to gather additional support, books, pens, or even light snacks to help the children keep going. To her, every small step meant a great deal. When the lack of resources seemed like the end, Noor turned it into an opportunity for creativity. She began using the surrounding natural materials, crafting simple educational games from stones and wood, or even using sand to write new words and teach arithmetic. When the lack of resources seemed like the end, Noor turned it into an opportunity for creativity. She began using the surrounding natural materials, crafting simple educational games from stones and wood, or even using sand to write new words and teach arithmetic. Over time, the children's personalities began to change. Those who used to look down now looked forward, feeling for the first time that they had a voice and goals worth striving for. Noor was planting the idea that they weren't just numbers on a list of the displaced. They were the heroes of their own stories. The story doesn't end here. What Noor did in those tents is a lesson for all of us. The challenges may be immense, but they are not impossible. Her passion for education and her ability to see beauty in times of darkness were the greatest proof that hope can be planted anywhere, even in devastation. And in the end, when we hear this story, we need to ask ourselves, how can we be like Noor? How can we plant hope where the ground seems barren? Today, Noor continues her mission, and every child who walks out of that tent carries a message with them. A message that says, even in the worst of circumstances, we can build a better world.